Hello everybody, this is Kay. Thank you for joining me here today on my channel, Gigi's Paper Treasures. I have 4 journals that I completed in the last couple of weeks that I'm going to be putting on my Etsy shop, and I wanted to share a quick flip through of them with you today, and I'll put the link to my Etsy shop in the description box below. These were all unfinished projects, which I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll start a project and then I'll kind of lose my inspiration and set it aside and then go back to it later. And that's what happened with these. But I'm kind of on a mission to finish things up in my craft room so that when my husband and I move in a couple of months, we're remodeling a house and getting ready to move, I won't have as much stuff to pack and move from my craft room. My craft room is probably going to be the hardest room to get packed up and get moved, but I'm super excited because I'm going to have a whole room to myself for my crafting at the new house. But anyway, long story short, I have 4 journals today going into my Etsy shop, and I'm just going to do a quick flip through of each one with you, starting with this one. And this is a really simple journal. I used a binding method where you use the strips of ribbon and you kind of sew over them to sew in your signatures. I'm also going to put a link to the channel where I learned this binding method from. I forget what her name is, but her channel is called the Scrapologist, I believe. And I'll put a link to her channel below. I'm not even sure what you call that binding method, but it's really neat and really fun. But anyway, so this one is a simple blank journal. I used some pages that I had harvested from an old blank journal that I picked up at a thrift store, and then I just rebound it and then made the covers just out of some chipboard and covered it with some kind of craft paper, but it's got embossing design on it. So there's a tag, a pocket and a tag in the back and inside the front cover as well. And it's just completely blank. I've decided to make a few of these, and I'm also going to be bringing them to my craft shows because some people want that. They just want a plain blank journal, but they still want kind of an original one. So this is original in that, I bound it and I created the cover, and this journal plate on the front is just some kind of, what do you call it, chipboard letters that I had. And then I used my glitter glues and my paints, and some of my little flatback stones are on here too. I don't know if that's coming out very clearly on the video, but just to kind of embellish that. And I just put it on some kind of crinkled and tea-dyed paper in the background. And I also did a little bit of markings with my acrylic pens, just to spice that up a little bit. And then I just have a charm dangle here on the front, made out of buttons and jump rings. So that's the first one. And these will all be separate listings in my Etsy shop. I'll just put one link to the shop, and then you can kind of browse through there and look at it if you're interested, because I do have other things on my shop as well. So this is a pretty simple one signature journal. I've covered it with some upholstery fabric here. On the spine, I also used some of my handmade paper beads that I made from strips of magazine paper, and some wooden beads in between them. And then I painted over the paper beads with fingernail polish just to make them sturdy, and they are very sturdy. And it's just a plain old muslin closure here, and this is actually sewn in with the signature right here on the spine, so you won't lose it. I put a simple cutout of a cross. My idea for this one was that this would make a great Bible study note or sermon notes journal. So I have pockets on the inside here. I did a good bit of hand sewing. I used a lot of my brown paper throughout here, as well as some coffee dyed papers. But I made several pages out of my brown packing paper. Inside the front cover, I have a little Velcro closure kind of folio with a pocket here and a pocket here. And I've tucked in various and sundry items. I have a really neat little cross die cut set that I recently got at a scrapbook store I visit in Branson, Missouri fairly regularly, and that's what I used for the crosses that are throughout this journal. The one on the cover, and there's another one, and there's 2 or 3 more as well. I got a little corner pocket here with a few little journaling spots and items in it. And it's a little bit loose because it's one of those kind of gusseted pockets, if you can see that. So I just clipped on one of my little cross paper clips there to kind of hold those in place. Coffee dyed paper, another page of brown paper. So I doubled up my packing paper when I made these pages just to make them a little sturdier and sewed around them. There's plenty of space in here for writing. So this upholstery was one of those samples that comes out of a sample book, and I had this piece left over. So I just kind of clipped it to the top. I used my pinking shears around the edge to cut down on the fraying, but this can be used in any way the owner wants to use it in this journal, or pulled out and used as a bookmark elsewhere. I just have that clipped in. I've got another piece back here that I just clipped in. Okay. I kept this one fairly simple as well. This is the middle of the signature. There's a little cross die there, and I just filled up the pockets with more goodies. And a tag here, another little writing spot, and an envelope that I tucked some more goodies into. Just little note papers, a proverb on that card, and another Bible verse there. So that's all in that pocket. I'll come back and fix that later. Oh, and on the back side of that, that's one of those cross die cuts as well. And here's another little corner pocket and another one of my cross paper clips to hold those in place with just some writing paper. This is some of that engineering graph paper, I think it's called. And then one of those little scrappy notepads tucked into that pocket. There's that other piece of upholstery fabric. And in the back pocket, I have another one of those little Velcro closure folios with neat little things tucked in back here. So there's that one. Okay, and another one of those cross die cuts. So there's that one, okay. Next is a ring-bound journal, and I had this big piece of clear plastic. I'm not sure where I got this. I think maybe it was on the front of like a spiral notebook, and I've just been hanging on to it for a long time, but it was a big piece, which I cut down to make the front and back covers on this one. And I just have 3 individual binder rings on here, kind of in a bronzy finish. The first page is just a little collage of items. I think I got this off of a greeting card, because I save all that stuff, especially the ones that have pretty pictures on them. Here's a little book plate here, a couple of little pockets on this page. And I've tried to reinforce all the pages too. Well, this, I just put these tabs on to make the holes for the rings. But on the other pages, you can see over here, I kind of reinforced with extra strips of paper too, so that, you know, over time, sometimes the rings can get torn out, and hopefully that will help prevent that. On the top of this page, is that just one page? I just put one of these as kind of a little decoration, just one of those little banners. This was also from a greeting card, and it's kind of embossed. It looks like embroidery, but it's not actual real embroidery, but it really looks like it. I just thought that was so pretty. Here's another little pocket, and I've got it collaged on top and a couple of little special writing spots and a tag in here. I've embellished some of the pages with some washi. This is an envelope, but I just tucked the flap in and folded it in half so that it's kind of a double pocket. And I also added extra little pockets on the front here. Pocket there, and I've got some stuff tucked into here, or one, actually just a piece of tea-dyed paper I had left over from another project, so I just kind of folded it up and tucked it into this little coin envelope, which is decorated with a big sticker. And another pocket on the back side. Oh, did I pull this one out? I guess that's the top of the envelope, and I put that tag in there. And then on the back side, another tag. So it's got one, let me put this back in here, 2, 3, 4, 5 little pockets on this little element alone. A belly band here, made out of some of my packing paper, and this is just a coffee dyed piece of that engineering graph paper. And I tucked another little, I have one of those little mini paper clips there holding this little writing spot onto that belly band. I'll go back and fix that. And here's another one of those envelopes with all the little pockets and stuff tucked into it. On this one, I just put a little tuck spot with a ticket here. And another pocket on the back. Okay. Here is a vellum envelope. And I covered the flap because it had that adhesive strip on it. And I didn't want that to show. But I also put a little miniature vellum bag right here on the flap as kind of a little tiny pocket. And I've got all kinds of goodies tucked into this envelope. And this is just a little bifold item. All of this is just extra journaling space, or it can be pulled out of here and used on other things you make and create or gifts you give away. Graph paper that I coffee dyed. So this is a book page window pocket, and I've tucked into there a little bookmark. This is from a digital kit that I got from the Digital Collage Club. A little cluster down here. On this side, I put 2 of those little corner tucks with a postcard, a couple of little cards in there. I just thought that this butterfly card is so pretty. And another little postcard, and they just kind of tuck in top and bottom like that. Writing space, 2 more little pockets. This one says, "It takes a long time to grow old, friends." Just a little craft tag. I made a whole bunch of these little tags while I was sitting at a craft fair this spring, and it was really slow. It wasn't one of my best shows, and I always bring along a project to work on because I sometimes get bored sitting there when it is slow. And this is just a little book page on here, and then I just took my black pen and drew a couple of little hearts there. And things tucked into that pocket. A little side, or a big side pocket here with a big tag. And on this page, I just have clipped, this is a little charm clipped onto one of those bulldog clips. And this is one of those, I guess, shoelace folios. That's what I call them, because you lace it up kind of like you would your shoes. And if you open it up, but I do have it attached here so you don't actually lose the string. And I have pocket, or tuck spot, and pocket in the middle. Not pocket, sorry. I just tacked down this little notepad. It's kind of some dotted paper. And I have a tag tucked there and a tag tucked there. And that was just clipped on, so it can be removed. And then we're to the back cover, where I put in a couple of little corner tucks. Sorry if I'm getting out of frame. This is a little bookmark I made with some leftover book page, ribbon. There's actually tulle in the background here. I don't know if you can see it, if it's picking up. And then some little brads. And then this is a vellum window envelope I made out of book page and vellum. And there's a little tag tucked into that one. So there's that one, and I have one more to go, my favorite one. And last but not least is an infinity journal, or you can call it an accordion journal, I guess some people. I like to call it an infinity journal because of the way it opens and flips, and you just end up right back at the beginning. Well, I'll show you what I mean when I get to the end, but it's basically like this, a zigzag, an accordion journal, like this. But when you get to the last page, okay, so here's the last page, and you turn it over, you keep flipping, and you eventually get right back to the beginning. That's why I like to call it an infinity journal. But you do have to use a specific number of pages. Well, you have to use an even number of pages, I should say, to get it to work out like this. Because if you use an odd number of pages, your last page is going to be, it's just not going to work. I don't know how to explain that exactly right, but you'll see what I mean. So this is an infinity journal. I've got some lovely die cut wildflowers on the front. The closure is attached to the back here, and it just wraps around twice and then tucks under the ribbon, and I just have a couple of little my flat back stones embellishing that closure. And I've tried to put something on every page. So this is actually a removable piece of coffee dyed graph paper here. And it can be removed, or it can just be left in there and folded out and written on. And I put a tab here, another die cut flower. I have used digitals for this and scrapbook paper. This is actually scrapbook paper that I have. The background pages are digitals, and I believe I got them from Debbie over at Ink and Page, so I'm going to have to look that up and find out for sure what digital kit that is. But that's what I used as the base for this journal. And this is one of those many slotted, this was a Tim Holtz die cut. It's just got several slots in here for tucking in different items, and I've got tags and doodads, and then it's glued down on 3 sides here. So I've got another big pocket in the background, but kind of behind it, with a tag and a pocket in there as well. And then in this corner pocket, this is just a vintage piece of graph paper folded into kind of a tri-fold situation. Okay. A little side pocket with a journaling card, washi tape, another one of those die cuts. A belly band here with some of that engineering graph paper. And on this side, I just kind of hinged on another piece of graph paper to make, let's see, this folds open too, I think. Yes, sorry. Okay, so it folds open like this, and then like this on that page. And it's just hinged on with some washi tape there. Side pocket here with a journaling card. This is a little window pocket And I put a stamp in the background, so when you pull out the little journaling card, you see that. Gold sticker and some of my flat back stones. I've done the up and down corner pockets here and just put some larger journaling cards with some of my wildflower die cuts in there. This is a little side pocket, a couple of little tags with stickers. And then on this side, I just used some lighter color washi tape to put writing lines. You can write on this, and what I like to do when I'm writing in my journals, if I'm writing on darker paper, is using like a metallic or a white gel pen. And that was my thought process when I did this page. And then went to the back here, which has another one of my little wildflower die cuts. And so you just keep going. That's what I mean when I say infinity. It just keeps going and going until you're back at the beginning. On these two pages, I just made a spread of writing spaces with some glitzy stickers, and I used some punch-out hearts as well from some of the scraps I had left over from some of the digitals. This page has one of those side pockets with a tag. I've got a tag clipped on separately to this page. And this has just got some stenciling and washi, little label on it. A corner pocket with a large sticker on the front of this writing space. And then I just adhered down a piece of paper on this side for writing space with washi on the edge. And this one as well. And this is is also a Tim Holtz die cut set that I used for this page. It's kind of a mini file folder, and I glued it down on 3 sides, so you got 2 pockets over here to tuck things into. And then this is a little slide die cut, which I've also got a pocket on, left the top open for a pocket, and this side open for a little mini tag there. Another corner pocket with a couple of little items. On this page, I just glued down some graph paper for writing on. Another little side tuck here with a large tag. And this was a tag that I already had made up. I wasn't sure if it was going to fit, but it does just barely fit. It comes to the edge of the journal. And this is a little kind of Velcro belt here with an envelope attached, a tall, skinny envelope that I made out of one of the digitals. And in there I have tucked in a little quadruple fold journaling spot with a tab. So I just put this belt here to hold the envelope closed. And then one more page turn and you're back to the beginning. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for hanging in there with me for the flip through of these videos, of these journals, And like I said, I will link my Etsy shop in the description box below. And thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.